Javonte Green, you are again a Chicago Bull. What's going on, guys? Welcome into the Bulls Report. My name is Patrick Siepman, as we got breaking news here on the channel as the Bulls are signing Javonte Green to a 10-day contract. This was broke by Woj a little bit ago, and all I got to say is what a great move that is for Chicago. I'm going to be diving into his game and just really talking about the impact he could have on this basketball team, because obviously we know the Bulls have a lack of depth, especially at that kind of wing guard spot as it stands right now. So me explaining why I really think this will help Chicago moving forward for this playoff push, and then also giving my thoughts on Dillon Brooks and Demar Rosen, that little scuffle they got into last night in the Houston Rockets game. But before we dive into that, guys, let's welcome Javonte Green back here to Chicago. Just drop a like on today's video. The record we have for likes here on the channel is just under 400. I want to hit 500 and welcoming back the grit and the grind of Chicago. Javonte Green just fires me up, man. I couldn't wait to get in the studio and record this. But let's dive into it. Let's talk about Javonte Green returning. And the last time he was with Chicago was back in the 2022 season, or 2022-23 year, where he did only play 32 games. But his numbers for the Bulls that season were not bad at all. I mean, listen, Javonte Green, like we talk about him being that, grit and grind guy, but he was able to put up 5.2 points per game, 2.8 rebounds, 1.9 assists or 0.7 assists per night, and then also shooting incredibly efficient from the field, 56.5% from the deck, and then 37.1 from downtown. But the year before that, in 2021-22, he did play 65 games for the Bulls. He actually started 45 games, and in 23 minutes, he was great, man. I mean, he averaged 7.2 points, 4.2 rebounds, wasn't really ever a playmaker in his career, never averaging more than actually an assist per game in a season, but he shot 35.6% from downtown and 54.2% from the field. Overall, Javonte Green, he's not going to blow you away offensively with his game, but man, that little grit and grind and just the passion he plays with on the defensive side of the floor, I think it's really going to help the Bulls. And just kind of talking about this for the playoff push perspective, like the Bulls are definitely eyeing a matchup with the Atlanta Hawks in that 9-10 spot. And we've already talked about here on the channel multiple times that, Ayo DeSumo and Alex Caruso, they've just done a number on, Trae Young and DeJounte Murray when they have gone against him. I mean, Ayo specifically has just been so good against Trae Young. Also, shout out to Ayo last night, had a career high. But now you just have another guy in that fold, another point of attack defender where you can deploy in a multiple different matchups, especially in just a one game, playing tournament style. And you have a guy like Javonte Green, where what is he going to do? He's going to get you an extra possession here and there. He's going to grab an offensive rebound here and there. I mean, hence why back in 2021, as a 6 foot, I think he's about 6'4" guard. I mean, he almost had a rebound and a half on the offensive side of the floor per game. That just speaks to his hustle. That just speaks to his effort. And now you add him to this rotation, man. I think it's a great move for Chicago. And also, I'm just happy for Bulls fans because Bulls fans love this guy. Obviously, I love this guy being a diehard Bulls fan and having him back in this rotation, especially for this playoff push, man. I think it's really going to help this team. Javonte Green, I'll chalk him up as to a margin guy, where he's not going to move the needle per se, like we're a guy like Giannis, these top players in the league, where they would do, but he's a margin improver. Like, he's going to get the Bulls better defensively, and he's going to be a great connecting piece on offense, where if the ball comes to him, end of the shot clock, and he's got a wide open catch and shoot three because Kobe White was getting the defense in rotation, he can knock it down. And he's not going to play outside of himself either. That's always the thing I respected about his play style, is that he always just played within himself. He was a very self-aware basketball player, and just overall, man, Javonte Green, he is special, and I just love what he has truly done here for the Chicago Bulls. And I'm not saying the Bulls are locked to make the playoffs. I'm not going to go there just yet, but I do believe that the Bulls team, as it stands right now, I'll say this. I think they are going to make the playoffs. I think they're going to beat Atlanta in that first playing game, and then I think they're going to take on hopefully it's Indiana Pacers, and if it's Pacers, I think the Bulls can win. But what if it's the Sixers with an Embiid coming back? Maybe he's not fully ready to go here. Maybe the Bulls could catch the Philadelphia Sixers lacking. But coming up here in just a second, I'm going to dive into the kind of the DeMar Rosen scuffle with Dillon Brooks and just talk about the game a little bit here in a second. But before we dive into that, I want to give a huge shout out to today's sponsor, and that is Prize Picks. The Bulls Report is made possible by Prize Picks, and they've got specials for new and returning users alike for March Madness. All you got to do is head over to prizepicks.com/CLNS, and we'll hook you guys up with a first deposit match up to $100 if you use promo code CLNS. Listen, football season's over, but the action on the hardwood is really starting to heat up. Whether it's March Madness or the fight for the NBA playoff seeding, there's no shortage of high-stakes basketball moments this time of year. So get in on the excitement with Prize Picks. It is America's #1 fantasy sports app where you can turn your hoop knowledge into serious cash. March Madness has already kicked off, and you can pick more or less right now. Prize Picks is also giving you guys a free pick for tomorrow's matchup. Caitlin Clark, if you go into the app, it will have her point total as a half a point. Just select more on half points for Clark and pair it with another winner, and you can 3 times your money. Prize Picks, it's simple. You pick more than, you pick less than on a 2-6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Get started now if you haven't already at prizepicks.com/CLNS and use and get a first-time deposit match, of $100. prizepicks.com/CLNS. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. It's my favorite app that I have on my phone, and I'll tell you what, guys, it is very, very addicting. Every single game I watch now, I am using Prize Picks. I'm always making lineups with Bulls players and whoever they're playing that given night, and just adds so much more juice to the game. So I'd really appreciate it. Click the link in the comment section and the description and use that code CLNS, and we'll hook you guys up with a first deposit match up to $100, whether it's $75, $50, don't matter. We got you guys. But let's talk about it. We're going to be diving into the kind of DeMar DeRozan scuffle he had against Dillon Brooks. So, listen, Jalen Green was coming off a pick and roll last night, if you guys didn't see, and DeMar DeRozan necessarily threw him he clotheslined him when he was coming off that screen. And I don't know if they were just kind of jawing at each other that we didn't see on TV, leading up to that. But there's definitely some bad blood there between Green and DeMar DeRozan. And then DeMar ends up getting ejected. And then Dillon Brooks, being the fake tough guy he is, walks his mighty self up to DeMar DeRozan. And they obviously got into it. They were both ejected. And, it's just so funny with a guy like Dillon Brooks. I'm like, you're going to pick your fight with a veteran in the NBA, a respected NBA player like DeMar DeRozan. I understand he's sticking up for his own, sticking up for his teammate, but I just thought it was a poor man's kind of reaction to what DeMar DeRozan did. Dillon Brooks always trying to, act fake tough in those situations. But I also get it from his side. He was just trying to protect, his young buck. But speaking about the game yesterday, if I'll tell you what, if DeMar DeRozan doesn't get kicked out of that game, I think the Bulls had a chance to win that. Ayo Dosunmu was absolutely fantastic last night, having a career high of 35 points on only 18 shots for Ayo. He was 13 of 18 from the floor, 5 of 6 from downtown with 35. He had the highest plus-minus from a starter last night at +9. And also we saw Kobe White did return. He only played 29 minutes, and he did come off the bench, but he did have 13 points. I thought he looked good. 4 rebounds, 3 assists. He's just going to need to get his kind of feet under him again, and I think we're really going to see him play well. But all Bulls starters were in double figures last night. DeRozan, probably one of his worst games of the year. Actually, both games against the Rockets he has struggled in, but he was 4 of 15, only had 16 points on 15 shots. Vooch was okay. He just gets cooked so much defensively, especially in these pick and rolls. It's tough to kind of, even though he did have 16, 14, and 6, I love what he's been doing, offensively running the pick and roll, but defensively he is still just, such a liability. And, Caruso, I thought he was pretty good, but I thought he should have done a better job on a guy like Jalen Green. At least I anticipated that. But, Jalen Green, he had 26 points on 22 shots, so I guess it's not the worst thing in the world. But it also just bothered me that Dillon Brooks is talking all that noise, and he was also having a career night. I mean, he had 23 points in 25 minutes on just 13 shots. So it was a tough loss for the Bulls. That was a tough game to go win. The Rockets are red hot, winning 9-10 after last night. And the Bulls, 2 games under 500, got an easier schedule here coming up. on the back half of the season. You got the Knicks actually 3 times in the last 6 games, so those are going to be tough matchups. So the Bulls are going to have to kind of take care of their own, take care of the games that they're supposed to win, and I think it will end up working out for Chicago. But, tough loss last night versus the Rockets. They got blitzed early. I thought the Bulls played really good in that second quarter, but it just felt like they just didn't have enough manpower to compete with that team. And, you had guys like Dalen Terry and, my man OB playing a good amount last night. I think that's a big reason why they went out and got Javonte Green today. But, let me know your guys' thoughts on the signing of Javonte Green. Grade it for me down below, A, B, C, D, or F. I better see 100 A's down in the comments section. But thank you guys so much for watching today's show. A little at-home video set up here at the Chat Sports office, as I just wanted to get this video out for you guys as soon as possible. So thank you guys so much for watching. See y'all next time. As always, go Bulls.